Hi, my name's Eugene, as Jamie says. God, you're all so far away. Why don't you all come forward a bit? I run a company called Rockstar. We've been going about 18 years. We do a load of sort of visual effects, tour visuals, album sleeves, social media content, and a lot of it is for kind of bands and kind of youth brands. So I'm going to sort of show you a bit of the stuff that we do, tell you a brief history, because I need to be quick, and then I'm going to give away a couple of our sort of tried and tested tricks that anyone who wants to be like us, you just got to follow what I'm going to show you and you can make the same sort of work. So this is our show reel. So that gives you a little idea about what we do. The thing is that we've been going 18 years, and when we very first started, we were making websites. And we made the very first website for the band called the Sugar Babes, and it was just over a meg. And in those days, it took about 15 minutes to load. So we put a game of Space Invaders at the beginning, so all the kids who wanted to go and see this Sugar Babes website and they could walk around and chat to each other had something to do whilst they waited for their dial-up modem to kind of load this, over a meg, website that probably crashed after 5 minutes anyway. So we were always doing kind of websites, but we kind of got in this mode where the internet wasn't doing what we wanted it to do, and we always wanted to make moving pictures, whether it was film, whether it was, computer graphics or kind of whatever. So we sort of set about it where we kind of wanted to choose the artists and the bands that we wanted to work with. And one of the bands that we wanted to work with was the Prodigy. So I set about it my kind of goal, whereas I was going to figure out how I could work with this band that we wanted to work with. And, just by luck, I was at a wedding once and I was sitting on a table and I said to this guy who was there, "Oh, well, what do you do?" So I designed the clothes for Keith Flint for the Prodigy. I was like, right, you're my new best friend. And we went through this whole presentation thing where we made a 7-foot missile, we put a DVD in the warhead, I drove it to one of their houses, so when they came back off tour, they undid the top of the warhead that was, part of the missile was probably taken off a military base somewhere, but, and we got the job. And from that moment onwards, we kind of realized that the way we present ourselves and the way we can't wait to for the phone to ring. We will always go out and get the clients we want. And the reason this is here is because she was one of our biggest clients very, very soon on. And it came about because of the Prodigy connection, and I, oddly enough, got a phone call from her manager or from his, from the manager's PA to say, would you take a call from Guy O'Seary? And I was sitting there thinking, I had no idea who Guy O'Seary was. And he said, oh, sorry for reception, I'm driving through the Hollywood Hills and I live out in Norfolk, So it's the surrealest thing. And so we went on, I made a video for her, we did merchandise for her, and one of the other things we did is we made tour visuals for her. And I'm not going to play the whole 2 hours because it drags on a bit, but the interesting thing is when you do stuff, you don't often see it in the way that it's made. So we made the intro for her tour, so I thought I'd just play the first little bit.
There's something magical about this place, and it's not tangible. Of course, we fell in love with the people. It's hard not to. They're not only beautiful to look at, but they have incredible spirit, and they're so warm and welcoming. Knowing that there are bands out there, many of them will be slept on the street and to get a good place. Knowing that we are going to be surrounded by incredible love and energy. Once again, I feel like my eyes are open for the first time. I just feel an incredible sense of excitement and anticipation.
So that just gives you a little idea. It's nice. What I realized recently is that we do loads of cool stuff and we move on and we do a next kind of project, and we never stop to actually realize what we've done and kind of just take a minute to enjoy the project we've done and finished and be proud of that thing before we move on to the next one. So I kind of like showing this because it's nice to sort of see something you've made where other people have seen it. So one of the things, I'm going to give away a little trick now. So one of the things that we always do is we always get a phone call on a Friday, either from a band or a record label or a client, to say, we filmed something, but the guy who filmed it didn't do a very good job, or something else has happened and they've made it and it's rubbish. Can you fix it for us? And they always say, can we have it by Monday, right? We're not a company who has a luxury like other studios of months and months of kind of production. We have to be, we get a job on a Monday, it's got to be done on a Friday. We get it on a Friday, they want it on a Tuesday, So we're in this kind of mode where it's like, this is how we always want to be. But, we want to plan things out. We want to have our time to be able to sort of storyboard and figure things out. But this is always how it always ends up for us, because we don't have the time. And this is for a film, and we try to plan it all out, and we try to be good. And in the end, it just said, fuck the other bullshit, let's get this film done. Because at the end of the day, we can plan it for ages, but all we needed to do was just kind of get it done. And so over the years of being able to, learning how we can make great work as fast as we can make it, if you've got a phone, take a quick picture of that, because that's our magic formula about how we make great work fast. Right, so now he's gone, right? And whether it's the music industry and whether it's the style of clients that we kind of attract, the budgets are okay and they're fine, but the time is never there. And it's kind of part of what we do, but it always has this, whatever we do always has to have this underlying ethos of rock and roll. It's just what we sell. If everyone's running that way, we're running that way. We designed a label for a whiskey company recently for a friend of mine. It's called Copper Dog. And he wanted to look old, he wanted to look sort of kind of, like it was made in the 1900s. Any other company would have sort of found an old typewriter font online and, whatever. We bought a typewriter and we bought old paper and we typed out the thing and we made the label by hand. And then, obviously it went off and got printed from there. One of the, so I'm going to give you, some of you probably aren't even that bothered, but I give you some of the tricks that we kind of do to do our work well and do it fast. So we do a lot of tour visuals for kind of this, this dubstep DJ called Zomboy, okay? When you're in a club, all they want is tons of flashing stuff. They want it blue, they want it green, they want it flashing, they want it strobing, they kind of want it, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And because of time, I don't know why that slide's in there. Probably because it always starts with a blank slate. Oh, this is our 3D rig of this character that we designed, which is actually this Zomboy's character. We always get in this mode of we kind of make something and then we repeat it, but we change it. So for instance, and again, this is another sort of thing, if we have a clip and we change the hue of it and we add some flickering and some other random stuff on the top of it, then you get another clip, okay? And if anyone else has got another, so this gives you an example. We start with one clip, and from one clip, we can make 6 clips, okay? We're not gonna change the world with these clips, but for this particular client, all he wants is a bag full of 70 clips. And they've all got to be different in some way. And again, anyone who's got a camera phone, anyone who likes using Nuke, these are our 10 best Nuke gizmos. Got it? All right. And again, this is another example. You can start with a cool skull that does this, and then you can then turn that one skull into a load of other different skulls, just with the same clip, but just doing different things with it. And we've learned these tricks over the years just because we have to do cool stuff as fast as we can possibly do it. And again, one skull can be replicated a number of times and looped and mirrored and all sorts of other bits and pieces. And again, another trick we sort of employ is this kind of thing of doing like an on and off. So everything we do flashes. People in clubs, people on tour, for music videos, people love things that flash. It's what gives stuff pace and stuff, gives it kind of vibe. So rather than rendering out frames that, we would, use Maya, rather than sort of rendering the ons and the offs, we only do one off and one on. So we can do an animation. So you can see it's a bit dark if you can see it, but this one's the off and that one's the on. So what this allows us to do is we can control what we want to happen, because everything we do is always cut to the beat. That's just our bag, That's what the beat is there for. So we cut to it. So by us being able to have an on and an off in the edit, we can basically decide when we cut and when we flash. So you can see here that we rendered two sides, one and off and one and on, and then we composite them together later to sort of do whatever flashing we want to do. And you can see here, for instance, that we start in Premiere. So we will have a base layer somewhere here. So that could be the off, and the ones above it can be the ons, And because they're all run through Nuke, we can control it. This is our Nuke script. Anyone here use Nuke? Yeah, don't make your scripts like that. But inevitably, things always start neat, and then by the end of it, this is another clip. How are we doing for time, all right? This is another clip that we made recently, and this is for Autodesk, and it was, again, it employs a lot of on and off tricks, because we don't have the time to render all these frames out. We can render a couple, and then if we want to flash it, we've got the off and we've got the on. And it just allows us to do things like this. So you can see the on and off a lot there, can't you? And it just means that we don't have to be so caught with the render farm. So this just shows you the on and off that we can do with the eye. We don't have to keyframe it in Maya to make the eye flicker. One on, one off. So just sort of drawing to a close, because AMD have asked us to come here and sort of, present to you the kind of work that we make with our kit that, they sort of provide for us. We do another job for another client, which is a one edit. So what happens is every week we create a 2-minute film, okay? But we only do it in one day, okay? So every Thursday we come into work and we get a bag of assets from our clients, which includes a couple of, like 10, 15 record sleeves and a whole bunch of video. And we have to finish this in one day. They're an American client, so in one day we have to do 4 versions. We have to cut a 2-minute version and a 1-minute version, and for each version we have to do a 16:9, and we also have to do a Instagram square version. So we get in for 9. We have to create a whole bunch of stuff. By 5 o'clock on that day, we have to send it to West Coast out in the States. They then, do certain things to it, sign it off. They haven't quite given us all the assets yet. And normally we finish around 4 a.m. And this was all going well until one day at kind of about 3 a.m. on our 3rd week, we couldn't export it out. And Jamie had kindly sent us this little sort of AMD 7100 card, and it was sitting in this little blue machine over in the corner, and we hadn't used it. And oddly enough, it was actually the only workstation that saved our bacon. And now we have 5 of them running these cards, and we only ever edit and composite with our nukes on these cards because we're so in this mode, we have to deliver this, not only this edit, but other edits as well. We used to use IMAX, we used to use all sorts of other things, but for some reason, this 7100 card completely saved our day. And, from there on, we exported happily ever after. The last thing I'm going to show you before I get booted off is something else that we cut. Again, we cut it on our nice little edit workstations. Every year, Pixar approach us, and we do a lot of stuff with Pixar, but they approach us to cut their RenderMan showreel for them, which I don't know if any people know about it, but RenderMan is the rendering software that Pixar use for all Pixar films, but also all the big sort of, visual effects studios from MPC to ILM, everyone uses, their kind of software. So they give us a whole bunch of clips. Some of them you'll probably seen before. And we spend a week and we cut this showreel, and I think it's probably the best showreel you'll ever see. Not because we cut it, just because the clips. Well, There you go. Thank you.